the thing that you take away when you really get into the heart of, the day-to-day operations of our federal government is that there are thousands upon thousands of people on any given day that are walking the halls, that have their causes that they're there fighting for. Most of them are corporate special interests for sure. Um, the other thing that I noticed, as I'm sure you did too, is that
Why would somebody think I'm lactose intolerant? Did I ever say that? I am not lactose intolerant. Anywho, sorry, back to talking about the very important mission of walking the halls of congressional staff. Yeah.
if you guys want to know why the Zios has such a stranglehold over our country, uh, and we're going to get into those details. I know you have a story that you want to share, but I would
I have a
definitely.
few stories, but I just this yeah, I have a few stories. I'm not sure which one you're referring to.
Well, what I was going to say is if you guys want to understand why Israel has such a stranglehold over our country, it's because they got these little shitbag Zios running around the halls all day long, and they are everywhere. I mean, they're everywhere. Like the Zios roam the halls of Congress all day, every day, and they're everywhere. So that's a big part of it. And when you are
Hmm.
with a group of Palestinian doctors or those that are supporting the Palestinian cause, they basically get as many people as they can get together once a month. And it was a great effort. There was at least, I would say, 300 people that went in with us. And, we either went in various groups or split up amongst themselves, etc. But money talks and justice walks. And I said to everybody that I was there with, whether it was Jen or anybody that we had the pleasure of meeting, that when you are walking in the halls of the Senate, in the halls of the House, or just on Capitol Hill in general, it seems to me like every other person is a lobbyist, and a corporate lobbyist at that. They're all there lobbying for some cause, including one such instance where I happened to run into a weapons manufacturer group. There's about a dozen of them. And I just happened to ask the guy because I had heard what they said they were doing. And I just asked him, so what's your company about? He looked at me stone faced like he couldn't answer my question. What's the matter? You can't talk about the thousands upon thousands of people you're blowing up every day and making a profit off of it? Yeah. They never get confronted. That's the thing. So when somebody actually asks them, hey, what is it that you do again? They're always hesitant about that. But I know that there were some things that you really wanted to hit on first before we really dive into
Well,
this.
I found the entire process to be a complete waste of time. I seriously, like, I had questioned whether or not going and trying to talk to representatives was valuable. It isn't. It isn't. It's a complete waste of time. First of all, none of those people who are our employees, and make no mistake, those are our employees. They're extremely insubordinate. So most of those employees don't even see fit to meet with us personally, right? Like, you only get to meet with a staffer, and sometimes it's just the person who picks up their mail. Okay. This is how seriously they take meeting with constituents. They don't care. They don't care about us. They don't care about organizations. All they care about are their investment portfolios and their next job. That's it. That's all these people care about. They do not care. I felt like I will never get those hours back to my life. I think trying to talk to Congress people is a complete waste of time. The amount of I stand with Israel signs, all of their ridiculous nonsense outside their offices, like who they're friends with and it reminded me of junior high school. And I am leaving this trip with two things, really. Well, one, that's a complete waste of time, but also I will never be back in this city. This will be the last time I'm ever in DC. I think it is a vapid, soulless, concrete, although not concrete, because we like to mine the granite and marble from all over the world to build our giant monoliths that make it 90 degrees here because there's no trees. It is a vapid and soulless place that is perfectly representative of this country.
Yeah.
So if you want to waste your time and walk through halls of completely bought off corporate whores and try to beg them to do the job that they're supposed to be doing, then by all means, go spin your wheels in Washington. This government is shit. This country is shit. And I cannot wait for it to fall soon enough. That's that. I am leaving here just so hoping that we are finally on our downfall, because this just is ridiculous, vapid and ridiculous.
So I put together a compilation of all the clips that I took the other day, and then Ben worked his magic. So here's a little taste of what we experienced yesterday throughout the day in D.C. We're here at Doctors Against Genocide, the rally that has begun. It's going to be an all-day affair on Capitol Hill, so we'll update you as we go forward. Lots to cover.
The Prime Minister himself is being sought and to be arrested by war crimes against humanity by the International Criminal Court. This defense minister, I'm sure there are many of their government are secretly being sought for war crimes. Why are we still supporting this country? Why are we defending this country?
As healthcare workers, we are trained to act before death becomes inevitable. We do not wait for mass graves. We intervene when the warning signs are clear.
And I've talked to so many people that say when they fill it out, they're always wondering, God, is this going to be used to kill another child? We already know our government is committing war crimes in Iran, massacring young schoolgirls and then lying about it. The president is threatening genocide against the Iranian civilization. Donald Trump already asked for $200 billion more for his unlawful war on Iran.
Hey guys, we are out here on Capitol Hill with, as you can see, Doctors Against Genocide. At least I would say a few hundred people have shown up to this, and we're heading to Capitol Hill now. Jen, what's your take so far?
I'm impressed. There's a lot of white coats. A lot of white coats here.
Yep.
A lot of good speakers. It's very depressing. A lot of doctors talking about their experience in Gaza. Also, we need to further address Sudan.
Yes, we do.
And that's what's going on here. And my representative was just sworn in this morning, so I'm going to go introduce myself to Clay Fuller.
To the Hill we go. We'll give you some more updates as we go forward.
This is our Doctors Against Genocide. We're sick of genocide, and it's Genocide Awareness Month, so we're here to advocate for human rights. No more bombing hospitals, no more bombing children. We here are upholding the oath that we took in medicine to do the right thing, to save lives.
So the experience so far has been as expected. Most of the representatives are corporate bought, but did meet Congressman Massie. He was a hell of a gentleman. We're going to still try to get him on the podcast. We'll see what happens.
The only representative I met was Rosa DeLaura, and she was nice enough. She's 83. She's been there since 1991. And I thanked her because she was the person who kept Debbie Wasserman Schultz from being chair of appropriations. I thanked her for that. She got a chuckle out of it, and that was it. And the only reason we met her is because she happened to come into the office while we were there. But I walked around with the Georgia delegation, and we met with Ossoff's foreign policy person. And it was like, you'd have better luck just talking to a wall, because they talk to you, but it is so clearly just compulsory. It is so clearly like they're just checking the boxes. They're not listening to you. They do not care what you're saying. They don't care at all. They sit there for their allocated amount of time. You say what you say, you leave. They give you some peanuts because the Georgia delegation all has peanuts in their offices. That's basically it. If anybody is thinking in any way, shape, or form that anything can be solved in this country via our political system, any sort of faux sense of democracy, speaking to your representatives, it's gone. I don't know that it was ever there, to be honest with you, but it's not there now. So we are, as far as I'm concerned, we're in a free-for-all. This is a completely defunct, non-functioning republic. There is absolutely nothing here that functions other than red tape and bureaucracy. That's it. Also, the Uber drivers are shit here. Yeah, I want to say I don't recommend. No recommend.
So I made a couple of moves, as I often do, and I was able to get to Bernie's office and score a pass when Bernie gave his speech last night. I had to get in there early because of the restrictions about when they can get in and when they can get out. It closes after a certain time. So here's what I can tell you about that whole experience, which was interesting. Bernie was supposed to give his speech at 5 p.m. He ended up giving it at 5:30. So I was in there for an hour prior to him speaking. And what I can tell you is that probably around 4:45, there had to be anywhere from 20 to 25 little Zio fuckers that found their way in there with their passes. Some was part of some group called CVC, which I've never heard of before. But you could tell that these were all pro-Israel hacks that found their way into the Senate into the Senate chamber. And so I don't know what they were going to do when Bernie ultimately spoke, but they all ended up leaving because I think they didn't think he was either going to speak or they didn't want to wait. So they weren't just waiting around to hear him talk. Couple things to take away. Listening to Elizabeth Warren give speeches like she's in front of 1 million people is hysterical and in not such a good way. Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, I shit you not, used basically 15 minutes of his speaking time to talk about how great of an idea it was to attack Iran and how going to war with them is wonderful. We absolutely should have done it. And I can give you all the reasons in the world why we are fighting them right now. And it is a really, President Trump was absolutely spot on. You know what it's like? It's like giving Charlie Manson a nuclear weapon. Would you give Charlie Manson a nuclear weapon? This is how they talk. This is nothing new.
Yep.
So,
Fuck Schumer. Fuck Schumer.
Yeah, so I want to touch on a couple of things. So I had to listen to Mark Kelly from Arizona give his speech. He ultimately ended up voting for Bernie's bill. But listening to him talk about how Israel's our greatest ally, Israel has a right to defend itself. He is married to Gibbards. I forget, I'm forgetting her first name, the one who got shot.
Tulsi Gabbard.
No. The former congresswoman in Arizona.
Gifford, whatever.
Yeah. Point is that his wife is like best friends with Wasserman Schultz. So it doesn't surprise me at all that he spoke like that. Then I noticed Bernie getting to his lectern and he's about to talk. And he looks over at Mark Kelly and says, Mark, I just want you to know, did a really good job. Did a good job. Mr. President, I am here tonight to let everybody know that we have to remember that October 7th was a terrible day. At least 1,200 innocent Israelis were killed and hostages were taken, but the lack of proportion in attacks that have come on ever since then, we have to pass a bill that does not allow Israel to get these weapons anymore. And so guess what? They did their little grandstand, they had their vote, and you know who decided to vote against this bill? Rand fucking Paul decided to vote against it. You know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? It means that even if you got close to 50 votes, 51 votes, there will always be somebody who will vote against it, so it can never pass. That's how it works.
The other moral of the story is Fetterman is the absolute, complete, biggest piece of shit that there is.
Yeah. Well,
that was another thing I gathered from this little thing. Yep.
And of course, it's the Netanyahu government. That's the reason why all these things are terrible. No, Bernie. It's because Israel exists. And I don't know about you, but I kind of got the vibe in that room that might have been a lot of liberal Zionism shit-libbery going on in there.
I wasn't where. I don't know
where we were this evening.
I went up and introduced myself to the rabbi. And and just so people have a frame of reference, we went to an event tonight. I would show you the book, but it's holding up. I have it stacked under my computer, so I can't hold it up.
Mine's on my suitcase right now.
Oh, okay. So we went to a discussion at a synagogue, and it is a book that is The Future is Peace. And the two authors, one is a Palestinian and one is a Jewish Israeli, and they actually went on this trip together over 8 days and wrote about it. And they both have suffered a lot and they have become very good friends. And it's just, it was a very interesting discussion. But the point of the story is I was wearing a keffiyeh in a synagogue which was really kind of interesting. It was very interesting. And I went up and I said hi to the rabbi, and he did intimate to me that they were not an anti-Zionist congregation, but they certainly were very welcoming to Palestinian voices, just given what I saw there. So anyhow, it was very interesting. I'm going to try to get these two authors. Yes, they were on Jon Stewart, Josie. Yes, they were. They were talking about that experience. They were amazing. It's Aziz Abu Sarah and Moaz Inan. I know I keep because the book is on, but I want to try to get them on the show to talk about this. And by then I will have read the book. But it was really interesting. The Israeli man, Moaz, his parents were killed on October 7th of 23. His parents were murdered. And Aziz, his brother, was tortured and killed by the IOF in detention before October 7th. So they have both been on this like recovery healing road. And it was very hard for me not to sit there and feel very unilaterally one-sided. And I definitely have a lot of follow-up questions, which is why I want to bring them on the show, because it's hard to not make it be a sides thing when we know that 80-something% of the Israelis support the elimination of the Palestinians, right? So it would be one thing if we didn't know that. Then we could sort of say, oh, yeah, like there's good. I have some questions. I did go up and speak to one of these gentlemen yesterday, but as you guys know, I believe that's the Neturei Karta, I forget the name of their sect, the Hasidic sect. But yes, they have always been anti-Zionist. It's always been because it's a violation of the Torah. The existence of a Jewish state is a violation of the Torah. So they are against it.
So
yeah, Neturei Karta. That's what it is. Yeah.
I would say the most positive takeaways are several of the people that we met, including this lovely lady who is from Sudan.
Yes, that lady right there in the long cream color cardigan, the hijab lady right there. She spoke we're going to get her on the show. She knows all about what's going on in Sudan. Yeah. So we definitely need to talk with her.
You know, when I was in the Senate halls and I was talking to this guy who was could tell he's a pretty well-off businessman, and he was going to see Senator Peters, and he asked me like he was asking why was I here. I was like, well, I'm actually here because of what's going on in Gaza. And he said, oh, is that the only genocide you care about? So he was trying to like throw a gotcha at me. I said, actually, no, I actually care about all genocides, including the one going on in Sudan. And he was a little surprised. He actually thought I was like some person he could push around, because this is, again, what uber capitalists like to do is, oh, so you only care about this one, huh? Don't you feel bad about what's going on over there? And the other thing I forgot to tell you that I didn't mention to you, I'll mention here in front of the audience. When I was going up to Bernie's speech, I was in the elevator with a woman and her two sons, and I thought she was speaking Russian, and I just happened to ask her, where in Russia are you from? She gave me this look of like, if I had a gun right now, I'd blow your fucking brains out. I am from Ukraine.
Yeah, because she's from Ukrainian. Why would you Peter, that's like asking a woman if they're pregnant when you're not 100%. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that.
Okay. Again, like I was saying, it sounded Russian, and that's not.
Well, because they're close, aren't they? They are very close.
Well, that's shout out to JB. We had the chance to meet him at the rally yesterday.
Yes.
Nice shot. So,
it's James. Guys, that's James from our chat who came out, and we got to meet him.
I'm thinking about becoming president one day.
Oh my God, is that your blue steel? Like, what is that? Blue steel?
Well, if I ever run, I'm going to use that as my photo. So I don't know. We've had these conversations about what should I do? Should I not do? All I know is I just want to make whatever impact I can and use whatever leadership capabilities I have to try to do the most for the most amount of people. I think that's that should be our primary goal. And as you and I have talked about.
I will say I don't see any answers in participating in politics. That's not going to help anybody.
No, but
that just helps themselves through money and insider trading. That's all that does.
What I do think is imperative is that people realize that one of the tricks about politics is how you use it. There's a lot of people who go into this thinking, well, I'm just going to run because I want to make a statement. I want to get my message out there because I think it's important. What I think ends up happening in many cases is people run because they want to make a statement, but they're not prepared to win if they do, and vice versa. Some people just want to run because they want to be powerful. They want to have all the connections. I mean, you have to agree that with the rare exception of, from just meeting Massie, and I ran into a bunch of these guys while I was walking around, some of them have like this air of superiority about them that just think that they're so damn important. And what's funny, guys, is I get that vibe a lot more in the House than I do in the Senate. I don't know why that is. Maybe because there's less pressure in the Senate. Once you're there, it's 6-year terms, it's statewide, you've established yourself, you're known statewide. You typically are in a situation that unless it's a true swing state, you're pretty much safe. So I think there's less of that expectation or ego. That's also why you get people like Bernie, and then you get people like Senator Kennedy. With that being said, I do think that there are ways that you can use the platform, depending on what you're running for, to exert a message that is absolutely necessary. So what that looks like, I can't really say, but I know that I will always contemplate how best to use the platform that we're growing. And there were a number of people who came up to us over the course of the event who said, I found out about Doctors Against Genocide because of revolutionary change. I came to support the event because of hearing the message, which is amazing. Even if it's only a few people, that's still a few more that weren't there before. I would say that as much as anything is why it matters. I would assume you would agree with that.
Yes, people showing up. That's what matters.
Yeah.